Hi, I was asked to share my story. You see, as a CERT, I had a problem of practice. So many of my struggling readers were unable to decode words. And while I had experience with many of the intensive structured reading programs, I was struggling to find enough time in the day to consistently deliver them. So what I started to look for was some high-yield instructional practices that were really efficient. And I also wanted to ensure that these strategies, particularly around decoding, were rooted in the best and most recent educational research. And as it turns out, the whole process was easier than I thought. You see, learning more about phonics improved my ability to accurately recognize the specific types of reading challenges that the kids had. So it was easier for me to group and deliver targeted lessons, be it in phonics or in language comprehension or a combination of both. So grouping better was a real benefit for me. But what was the most encouraging thing was the fact that these strategies brought immediate successes. Also, and the most encouraging thing to me, was that I realized that the motivational factor, the real motivational factor for students, was the actual ability to pick the words off the page. It wasn't just about good text selection and great predictions. It was about really being able to read the words. And that simple achievement brought on an avalanche of motivational improvements and better achievement. So while we've known about phonics for a very long time, the new research in support of the simple view of reading has really had me shift how I look at the whole reading process. I cannot stress enough that learning more about phonics in light of this newer research was the difference that made the difference for so many of my Yellow Zone readers. Basically, I got better at teaching the way the brain learns to read. So what were my shifts in instruction? Basically, and most importantly, I had better word cueing techniques. Secondly, I looked at text with a greater purpose, okay? So choosing it so that I can ensure if I taught a phoneme that they could practice that in the text. And I also was careful about choosing continuous text for them to practice with. Also, I shifted my use of assessment tools to include more targeted mastery, honing in on phonics and fluency, as well as general progress monitoring ones. On another note, I did pay attention to how I could apply these structures in keeping in mind the principles of good intervention sessions, which are explicit and systematic teaching, chunking, repetition, and frequent progress monitoring. I also found that when I focused on tools that helped me bridge phonemic awareness and phonics, my results improved. So these lessons that I did were referring to the TLDSB scope and sequence while using Elkanon boxes, sound walls, and strategies like blend as you go, just to name a few. Now, specifically over the past few years, I learned a new term, or a new to me term, called orthographic mapping, which is really the process of words becoming automatic. And this was key to me understanding which strategies to use and which strategies to let go of. Deeply understanding what was meant by the term sight word and how it differed from high frequency word was a critical distinction. Now, after a few years of shifting our thinking, and I want to say that we didn't do this alone, I had a lot of teachers who were learning along with me, we significantly reduced the number of students within the yellow zone at our school. We also found that students who were in the red zone reading with other supports closed their achievement gap at a greater rate. Lastly, we also noticed a reduction in behavior at our school. While we can't definitively say that it correlates with reading improvement, it does make us wonder. Now I know I've thrown a whole bunch of terms at you and they require more learning, but that's what this is all about, coming together to learn from each other and from the research. And in the end, I hope you, like me, have more confidence in the groups and can see your students achieve more. Oh, one last thing. All of the strategies that I'm referencing have been really easy to translate into a virtual environment, and that's a really good thing. Thanks.